Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. Weary investors may be getting ready to jump back into the market today. That's because the Dow Jones Industrial Average is on a tear. It reached another major milestone Tuesday, closing above 15,000 points for the first time. Mark Martin explains what this means for your investments and the economy.
Cause for joy on the market floor Tuesday as the Dow rose more than 87 points to enter the history books by closing above 15,000 points. The Dow is now up a whopping 130% since bottoming out in March 2009. That means if you invested $10,000 during the worst of the Great Recession, today you'd have more than doubled your money to $23,000. Why is the Dow skyrocketing? Analysts say good economic reports, higher corporate profits, and the Fed's easy money policies have eased investors' concerns over another economic slowdown.
I think this is just, it's confirmation of continued belief that the markets are going on, they're just going higher.
Momentum in the railroad, airline, and trucking industries is also contributing to the recent rallies.
I think the fact that the transport index had a huge move and is participating in this move to the upside is confirmation that this is a real rally and this is not fake.
But one area that is not adding new jobs is the manufacturing sector, and some say that's a bad sign.
Manufacturing is the bulk of middle-class employment in this country, and if you look at the jobs numbers breakdown, we saw tremendous job growth in the service sector, in fact 185,000 jobs. However, most of those are very low-wage jobs. The goods producing jobs like manufacturing, construction, mining, you saw lose jobs.
Still, the Dow and broader Standard & Poor's 500 index are trading at record levels, fueled by optimistic investors believing the U.S. economy is continuing to recover. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Mark, thank you. Celebrations continue in Cleveland today for the three women found after being missing for a decade. But police are facing criticism for not finding them sooner. Michelle Knight, Gina DeJesus, and Amanda Berry were all hidden in plain sight. Neighbors say they called police several times about the home where the women were held. One neighbor reported hearing a banging on a door, and another says she saw a woman crawling around naked in the backyard. Police never found anything, and the young women remained captive for years. One of the victims returns to find she lost her mother during the ordeal.
What hurts me the most is Mandy doesn't get to see her mom. Her mom's gone.
Police say today they will question and formally charge the three men arrested at the house where the women were held. Surveillance cameras have been effective in fighting crime, including identifying kidnapping suspects and their victims, and we all saw how they were used to identify and catch the suspects in the Boston bombings. But those cameras have also renewed fear America could turn into a surveillance society. As John Jessup reports, the American people are worried about their privacy.
After cameras captured the chaotic scene at the Boston Marathon finish line, the city's police chief said he wants more cameras to help law enforcement keep watch on possible high-value target areas downtown. A collection of video feeds, both public and private, and even cell phone images, help police identify their suspects. Now, other cities, in an attempt to prevent possible attacks, may want to follow suit. But privacy advocates caution against a rush to set up more cameras in cities across the country.
Preventing crimes is not something that camera systems have shown to be particularly useful for.
Mark Rotenberg directs EPIC, a privacy research group in downtown Washington. His organization keeps a watchful eye on those who are monitoring D.C.'s vast network of cameras. While Rotenberg believes the technology can be useful, he says it's also limited.
You look at study after study, and the lesson that you take away is that cameras can be helpful after the fact, but they rarely prevent crimes, and they certainly didn't in Boston.
Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert has other concerns.
Technology is a fantastic instrument to fight crime, but the danger is that everyone gets monitored all the time.
He's worried the expansion of surveillance could lead to government overreach, with Big Brother capable of knowing what virtually everyone's been doing.
We're close to that now. They have the capability of going on and finding out what you've purchased or what websites you go to, what emails you send.
It's an even greater concern with the use of unmanned drones flying over U.S. airspace.
Drone surveillance raises issues that are similar to the camera surveillance in cities. This is another useful technology. It has public benefit, but this should not become a type of surveillance of all activity that people engage in. That would be going too far.
The advent of newer technologies will continue to spark concerns about privacy. And in a post 9/11 world, the trade-off between feeling secure and maintaining one's privacy will be debated for years to come. John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.
A self-described crisis in the ranks of the Air Force unit charged with command and control of the nation's nuclear missiles. Missteps have forced the Air Force to strip 17 officers of their authority to control or launch missiles. In an internal email obtained by the Associated Press, the group's commander said, quote, "We are, in fact, in a crisis right now." The email also described a culture of indifference and at least one intentional violation of missile safety rules. The first signs of trouble came in March at an inspection of North Dakota's 91st Missile Wing at Minot Air Force Base. The Air Force publicly called it a success, but it actually earned the equivalent of a D grade. Turning now to abortion in America. The Kermit Gosnell trial in Philadelphia is putting the spotlight on the victims of the abortion industry. Most of the babies killed in Gosnell's clinic were blacks and minorities. As Paul Strand explained, some pro-lifers say this is part of a vast targeting of minorities that stretches over decades.
Late-term abortions kill babies while part of them is still in the birth canal. Kermit Gosnell's clinic allegedly sometimes dispensed with that, delivering the babies, then killing them. The documentary 3801 Lancaster put a spotlight on this.
There was one baby that when it was born, one of the workers was playing with it for several minutes before the worker did exactly what Dr. Gosnell did, snipped the back of the neck.
Pro-life leaders point out most of the babies killed in Gosnell's clinic were minority children, one small part of what many see as a deliberate targeting.
Abortion facilities are purposefully placed in inner cities and minority neighborhoods to crush the bodies of innocent black children.
Pro-life lobbyist Marjorie Dannenfelser says some of those abortionists believe
there are certain members of society that are expendable, that really part of humanity is really just underbrush, to be just kind of swept out because there's not really all that useful.
70% of all abortion facilities are located in the black and minority communities around this country.
Abortion is the #1 killer of African Americans, killing more black people than all other deaths combined.
Pennsylvanian pro-lifer Michael Geer hopes black leaders will begin to cry out.
Groups like Planned Parenthood have a history of targeting minorities and African Americans, and we need to rethink abortion as being good, as some people in that community might think, that it's actually harmful and terrible for their community.
When you're truly targeted by abortionists, when because of the color of your skin there's an assumption that there should be fewer of you, that hurts. It should hurt, and we should react. And even if we're not in those minority communities, we ought to react and say that is absolutely unacceptable.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Another state has approved gay marriage. Delaware Governor Jack Markell signed a measure into law shortly after the state Senate approved it Tuesday afternoon. The law doesn't go into effect until July 1st. Under the law, clerics don't have to perform same-sex marriages if it goes against their beliefs. However, business owners who refuse to provide services to same-sex couples based on their religious convictions could be sued under an existing law banning discrimination based on sexual orientation. The city of Dearborn, Michigan will pay a settlement to a Christian missionary group whose members were arrested while evangelizing at an Arab cultural festival in 2010. Courts acquitted the missionaries of the charges, and the group then sued the city for violating their right to evangelize on a public street. Dearborn officials agreed to pay an undisclosed sum to the group and to post an apology on the city's website for the next 3 years. The city has a large Arab American and Muslim population. The American pastor imprisoned in Iran turned 33 on Tuesday. Saeed Abedini was arrested 223 days ago for refusing to deny his faith. He's in solitary confinement inside Evin Prison, one of the worst prisons in the world. There are growing concerns about his health. He's said to be suffering from internal bleeding from beatings he sustained in prison. May 19th, churches across the U.S. and around the world are urged to join in a national day of prayer for Pastor Saeed. For all the latest on the pastor, you can go to our website, cbnnews.com. Coming up, 8 senators are pursuing a bipartisan proposal for immigration reform. We ask one Hispanic Christian leader about what it should include and what it shouldn't.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Political redemption for former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford. The Republican is heading to Congress after his political career was sidelined 4 years ago by scandal. Sanford won back his old congressional seat in a special election Tuesday. He left politics in 2009 after admitting to traveling to Argentina to visit his mistress, a woman he's now engaged to marry. He paid a $70,000 ethics fine for using public money for the trip, and his wife Jenny divorced him. Sanford says South Carolina voters extended him human grace that was a reflection of God's grace. Lawmakers in Washington are fiercely debating comprehensive immigration reform, but it appears the public isn't closely following that debate. A Pew Research Center poll shows only 44% say they're following the debate closely, and 38% don't have an opinion on the Senate measure. Reverend Samuel Rodriguez sits on the evangelical immigration table. Recently, CBN's Heather Sells asked Reverend Rodriguez about the progress and the pitfalls on the path to immigration reform.
What is your take on this bipartisan measure in the Senate?
I support it. I had the privilege of standing behind Marco Rubio on the day that he unveiled the proposal before the cameras. I completely support it. I think it's a way to reconcile both the rule of law and the compassionate values that we hold near and dear.
Mm-hmm. Now, some are suggesting, hey, we don't know if we can pass comprehensive reform. Let's take this piecemeal. What is your thought on that?
The piecemeal idea that has been brought forth ever since McCain Kennedy, post McCain Kennedy, it won't work. Only a comprehensive strategy has any sort of viability. Democrats that right now control the Senate will support only a comprehensive plan, and the majority of Democrats, of course, and a limited amount of Republicans are inclined to support a comprehensive plan on the House side. Piecemeal won't work. It's not going to solve the problem of 11 million undocumented individuals currently in the country.
Mm-hmm. And is that your main concern, is those 11 million?
It is. That's the primary concern. We need to protect our borders. The sovereignty of our nation is at stake. There's a narco-trafficking war in northern Mexico. We have a right to protect our border. We don't want to provide amnesty. We need to integrate 11 million people. I'm a pastor. 38 to 40% of our congregations west of the Mississippi for Latino evangelical churches are full of undocumented individuals. As a pastor, as a preacher, I want to make sure they get integrated as expeditiously as possible. I don't want to have any more parishioners living in fear on Sunday morning. I want them to have hope and faith and provide some sort of avenue for their children to fulfill the American dream.
Yeah, and that brings up the interesting attitude of evangelicals on this issue. You know, more and more evangelicals are rubbing shoulders with some of these undocumented folks. How are you seeing attitudes among evangelicals at this point in time on the issue of immigration reform?
Radical change. From 2006, one of the groups, if not the group most vehemently opposed to immigration reform, white evangelicals. In 2013, 7 years later, this group is now leading the charge. I find it to be prophetic and biblical and just a wonderful thing. And it's happened through relationships. It hasn't happened through any sort of national media campaign, but through Latino evangelical pastors meeting with other pastors in their communities, and through these pastors looking at individuals through the optics of Matthew 25, welcoming the stranger. Tremendous change, and now white evangelicals are leading the charge for comprehensive immigration reform.
I want to ask you about one specific proposal that just came up where the LGBT community is saying, hey, on this immigration reform issue, we want to allow gay Americans to sponsor a partner via a green card. Is that a deal breaker for you?
These two issues should never, ever, ever, ever mix, should never be mixed, should never be combined. It will dilute, it will fracture a coalition that includes the Hispanic Evangelical Association, Southern Baptists, other major denominations that have signed on to comprehensive immigration reform, including the Catholic Bishops' Conference. We will all pull out. So is it a deal breaker? Yes, it's a deal breaker. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be in a practical manner included in any bill that will arrive at the president's desk.
Okay, and timeline-wise, momentum-wise, where do you see things going with this bill?
You know, we're looking at between now and sometime in September, worst case scenario, early October at the president's desk, all things being equal. Senate, we're looking at passage in the Senate. The difficulty will be the House. The House will push back on some of the Senate components, particularly on the issue of citizenship, some of these triggers with border security. There's some angst and consternation there that has to be addressed as expeditiously as possible. We're looking at a timeline between now and late September.
All right, Reverend Rodriguez, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, it once looked like a war zone. Now this historic district has had a facelift. See the plan to rebuild America's poorest city when we come back.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Chicago is considered the deadliest city in America, but the most violent is Camden, New Jersey. Camden is also the poorest city in the country. But now some longtime residents are trying to turn their town around.
I've never found Camden to be a bad place.
Tina Scott designs clothes. She began with bridal gowns, then pioneered custom design robes for women preachers. Her garments now ship to Germany, Japan, the Caribbean, and across the United States.
Mind you, I flunked sewing in school. In high school, I had to make a purple pleated skirt and I couldn't do it, and I got a failing grade for sewing.
The seamstress and single mom has spent her life beating the odds. A perfect example came when she chose this neighborhood to start her business.
I don't know if I can describe it to you. I can reach the picture if you want me to show it to you.
Take a look. The old pictures look like they came from a war zone. Her shop, a mere shell of a building with no roof and no other businesses nearby.
It was just looking through the eyes of faith that made me know that this felt like it was what God was leading me to.
Today, Camden's revitalized historic district captures Tina's vision and more, but it's still a work in progress that doesn't stretch far enough.
Once you leave from this area, which is a lot of new buildings and a lot of new construction, and go 2 or 3 streets over, it looks like you're in a totally different place.
We visited those places.
Camden is a small city, really. It's 9 square miles.
With Michael De Leon, the New Jersey filmmaker spent 3 years shooting a documentary about the city.
There's 70,000 that they say people in Camden, and it's just so small. But no matter where you drive around the city, it's just such devastation and poverty and crime and drugs.
Camden sits in the shadow of historic Philadelphia, a thriving city just across the Delaware River. But Camden's reality is not nearly as bright. More than 42% of its population lives below the poverty level, and less than 50% of its students finish high school. At one time, Camden was a thriving factory town, home to Campbell's Soup and RCA. The race riots of 1969 and 71 left the city in ruins, and those who could afford to leave did. That was followed by years of political corruption.
What was troubling me so much about what was happening in Camden and other urban cities in New Jersey is the amount of kids that were dying due to drug overdoses and due to violence and gang violence.
As a former gang member, drug addict, and prisoner, De Leon knows his subject.
I got a member of my family killed, and it didn't stop my drug addiction, it didn't stop my gang involvement. And I was present in a room when one of my friends, a gang member, shot and killed my best friend. And I went to prison for aggravated manslaughter.
After serving 10 years, he chose to dedicate his life to help children make better choices with theirs.
There's nothing wrong with this city that can't be fixed by what's right with this city. And this city is full of people who serve God, who live the life that they're supposed to live, and they influence in a positive way other people.
De Leon introduced us to one of those people. Tawanda Jones turns a city water tower into a dance hall 5 days a week. This is Camden's Sophisticated Sisters Drill Team, a dance troupe Jones started when she was only 15. She was inspired by her grandfather, who bought the team its first round of uniforms and drums 26 years ago.
My grandfather sees the great in everyone. And everyone. And what he just constantly just fed to me that, you know, there's not enough people that care. You have to be one of those people.
Tawanda's girls know she cares from the moment they meet.
I just met Miss Wawa only 4 months ago, and she's like a second mom. She wants so much for me, and I just can't believe how much she wants for me and how much she wants me to succeed in life, and that surprised me, you know? And I'm just so happy. I love her so much. I can't even say it enough.
When they're in that water tower, their whole expression, everything changes. Everything changes. They really leave a lot at the door, and they dance that pain away.
Take Dejanay Green, who lost her father when she was only 3.
He was riding down the street, and a drunk driver hit him, and he was on a motorcycle, and he flipped a mile or 2, I think, and he broke all his bones and died.
Even so, Dejanay is still a daddy's girl, and she thought of him when she performed on ABC's Dancing with the Stars. That's the troupe's latest honor. But Ms. Wawa says the bigger prize is her graduation rate.
We never had a dropout. We have never had a dropout. Why? God. God. I can't possibly take credit for none of this. You know, it's definitely all God.
Worth the price we have to pay. Everybody strong, come on. There's a dream.
What others see as Camden, you know, I really can't speak for them, you know, but this is my city and I love it.
There's a
Ms. Wawa's goal is to get 500 students in the program all at the same time. For that, she'll need a new building, and she is searching feverishly to find that even as we speak. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
A Sacramento woman has a pretty memorable birth story to tell her new son. Josephine Rosales' story starts out the same as most. She went into labor and told her husband Fritz it was time to go to the hospital. But on the way there, they had to stop for gas. And then they were stopped at a train crossing for nearly 20 minutes. Time was running out, so Fritz pulled into a Sam's Club parking lot and called 911.
It was quick. He got out of the car, ran from one side to the other, and baby's coming.
I said, now push, honey, push. And the baby came out, landed on my forearm, made sure he was breathing, and he wasn't. And I go, oh my God, he's not breathing. And a couple seconds later, he made a cry. I go, good.
Way to go, Fritz. An ambulance quickly arrived on the scene and took over. Baby and mom, as you see, are doing well. And Dad's still holding it together, too. That is going to do it for this edition of the CBN News Channel. You can find more of the stories you like at our website, cbnnews.com. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.